With any luck, you've had a brilliant year so far, and you're inspired to make this one your best year yet, maybe even your best decade. And I'm going to share a super simple way you can make 2020 even more fabulous with a special technique I use all the time with my clients and also myself that's led to some amazing epiphany moments. Welcome to episode 24. Glamping and unique holiday rentals are surging in popularity with the growing desire of customers to book holidays that deliver an experience. They are also the new business of choice for those wanting to improve their work-life balance. So how do you build a strong business like this that gives you the life you need and a great investment? I'm Sarah Riley, and I want to share what I've discovered after being immersed in this industry for over 20 years to inspire you to find out more about what's going on. Welcome, this is the business of glamping and unique holiday rentals. Hello, I wanted to share something quickly with you today. It's something that I'm doing at the moment for myself, and I thought that you might want to do it too. It's something that I've used a lot in the past. It helps me to get really focused at the beginning of the year. I know it's a bit later into the year already. Where has that time gone? But it's still a really useful exercise, and some say that we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we definitely underestimate what we can do in a decade. So every day we add tasks to our list, from work and what needs doing in the office, maybe contacting people, doing emails, getting changeovers done, making repairs, getting things all sorted. And then, of course, there's all the personal stuff, the washing, the ironing, sorting out things for the family, making sure you've got everything in the cupboards that you need. To be quite frank, when are you going to have a life in amongst that? It's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard to find any level of relaxation and wind down time. And let's face it, it seems to be more and more difficult to do that because of all the distractions we've got. But in a decade, do you ever decide what you're going to do in a decade? Do you ever think about it in terms less of what you're going to do in a day, but what are you going to do in a decade? Do you have any plans? Have you got any goals? Can you imagine where you might want to go? Can you imagine what you might want to do in that time? I know that if you have the right tools and the right strategy and anything else that you need to do to make something happen, then you can literally do anything, especially now when everything is available to us via the internet. It's just astounding. But maybe you might want to think about doing something more fulfilling, or maybe you are sick of what you're doing and you know you need to make a new start, and maybe even thinking of quitting the 9-to-5 or moving somewhere or into some kind of business where you're going to get your freedom back. Or maybe you're thinking about beginning something new and really exciting, and it's something totally different to what you've ever done before. And so you've got all these big plans around that. Or maybe you just want to give something back to a cause that you believe in, like the environment, or helping people who might have restrictions in their own life. Or maybe you are a dreamer and you just want to change the world. Whatever it is, you kind of need to know where you're going to go next to make those things happen. You see, I've got big plans for this year. I've got big ideas, something I've never done before. And it's a bit like going into the unknown, and it all leads into my big plans for this decade. It's exciting, but it's also really nerve-wracking. I don't know about you, but whenever I decide that I'm going to take an actual trip in my vehicle, somewhere I've never been before, I always make sure I check out maps and get my bearings first. So I always switch on Google Maps, find out where I'm going, work backwards, know exactly how long it's going to take me to get there, and everything else I might need to know for my journey. I start by understanding where I want to end up and then I work out how I'm going to get there. So although I may need to stop a few times along my chosen route, and I may actually come across some detours on the way, so maybe there's some roadworks or something like that, something I wasn't expecting, and I might have to change my travel itinerary, but still, the main goal of where I'm going helps to keep me focused. So this all starts by knowing where I want to end up. And this is a fantastic technique I also use with my clients. When people are stuck on how they want to achieve something, if they can't see a way ahead, if they really can't get to grips with what they need to do next, I begin at the end and work backwards. And I cannot tell you how amazing this technique is. It really, really works. And is exactly the same when it comes to having a vision of where you want to go in your life or your business. And I use it all the time too. It works really well for both. So if you want to end up, say, with a better relationship with your kids, you start from there and work backwards and think how and what might you need to do to get there, and what steps might you need to take to get to the place where you want to go. And the same is for your business. If you want to quit the 9 to 5 and you want to do something totally different to what you've ever done before, start at that point. Imagine where you will be at that point. Imagine what you'll be doing. Imagine what your life will be like. And then you start working backwards from that point. Say one step backwards from that point. What would you need to do to get there? And then another step backwards. What would you need to do to get there? And it continues like that. Or if you have a business and you want to expand and grow that business, start from that point. What will your business look like? How big is it going to be? How much growth are you aiming for? You start from that point and you go backwards. It really helps if you can plot it all out in a timeline, especially for me, as I'm a really visual person. I really need that. And I remember going through this with somebody who was going to take a really big trip away, and we plotted out the entire trip. It's going to take a year to prepare for the trip. We plotted out the entire trip from that point of them leaving for their journey. What did they have to do during the year before that, to make sure that that departure was going to happen in the way that they wanted it to happen. And oh my goodness, it really works to help people get unstuck when they're really caught up in having such huge, grand goals. And it's almost like that hugeness of that goal kind of gets people stuck, mentally stuck about what they need to do next. So it's a really good way of getting unstuck, and I use it all the time. So I was today taking a few minutes to navigate towards my own big dreamy goals for this year, and I thought I would take a few moments to share what I've been doing. So I always start at step 1, which is starting at the end. So I decide in around about 10 or so years, it doesn't have to be exact, this is not an exact science. Where would I like to be? What would I like to be doing? How can I visualize the end of this 10 years? What can I see is something that I want to have happen at the end of that 10 years? Then I work back and I think, okay, in 5 years, where would I like to see myself in 5 years that will lead to that 10-year vision? And then again, I work back from there and say, okay, for me to get to that 5-year goal, where will I have to be in 1 year? So it sounds super simple, but actually it's only when you sit down and start doing this exercise that it really, really works. It's super simple. As I said, there's no you don't have to be a scientist to do this for sure. But oh my goodness, it can really help you clarify where you want to go and where maybe you're currently on the wrong road. If you're thinking about a 10-year vision, a plan of what you want to achieve and set some goals, is that really right for what you're doing right now? Are you really on the right road? So it can really help give you some epiphany moments about maybe even saying, I'm in the wrong place, I'm doing the wrong thing. Why am I doing this? Why am I not doing that? Because that's really going to help me get to where I want to go. So it does sound simple, And it is simple. And some people do this naturally, but some other people can get a bit stuck. So definitely, if you're feeling stuck, this can really help. So the best thing to do is to write it down. So write down what you've decided you want to achieve in those timeframes and to revisit them regularly. I like to have them on my office wall or a place that I can be reminded of them regularly. So in a book next to my bed, whatever it might be, it's something that I can look at regularly, remind myself of where I'm going and how I need to keep focus. So for me to be able to achieve anything, I really need to have a focus, and I really need to give myself a way of being reminded of this regularly, because I get distracted. I have children, I have pet animals in the family. We have a really, really busy life. There's so many pressures coming left, right and centre. I have a really busy job, and it's really easy to get distracted even by a shopping list or tea or what we're going to do for a family holiday, or have I sent those emails yet? Is that project that's coming up, is it working? Is it happening? Is it actually, in place? All of those things can keep my mind distracted. So I have to regularly remind myself of, for my big achievement for the first year, and is that taking me in the right direction? If it's not, then I really have to think about why I'm doing what I'm doing, and if I have to question whether I should be doing something else. So I always like to decide on a sentence or a phrase that can also easily be used to describe what I want to achieve, that big achievement. And having that pinned to my wall, for me, is a really good way of reminding myself in a blink of what I'm trying to get done. So have you heard of the power of attraction? So I'm not going to get all woo-woo on you, but look it up. Now, this is something I have witnessed in my own life. And for me, I know it works. And there's some very, very clever people out there that can teach you how you can embrace the power of attraction and make it work for you. But for me, this one little act of giving myself a sentence or a phrase which sums up exactly what I'm trying to achieve, either in my big achievement for year one, but also in my 5 and 10 year vision of where I want to go. And so mine is, and I'm going to share mine with you, I've decided that mine is going to be brave and simplify. Now for me, this is all about taking brave action, but simple action to achieve my 1, 5 and 10 year goals. I feel I'm a little bit at a crossroads at the moment. And so for me, that's why it's important to take brave action, but to not get too caught up in the complexity of it always. Because for me, I always seem to find that complexity makes me procrastinate and then I don't get anything done. I've always learned that what you want lies just outside of your comfort zone. So I always feel that feeling a bit uncomfortable is actually a good thing. And for me, that's why I'm telling myself I have to be brave, because to get what I want does lie just outside of my comfort zone, and I've really got to step up and take that brave action. But simple action. Again, not being complex, not being complicated, because it really has to be imperfect action is better than no action at all. And that's why keeping things simple really helps to achieve that. So remembering for myself that these achievements really must feed into the 1 year, the 5 year and the 10 year vision of where I want to be and what I want to do. And then it's about, how am I going to make all that happen? How am I going to turn that vision and those goals of where I want to get to into big action? So how am I going to make that happen? So to have that vision of where I want to end up isn't going to do anything unless I give myself a whole list of actions, so that I can decide, what am I going to do? How am I going to stretch myself out of my comfort zone? I can set myself some smart targets and goals So for anyone who doesn't know, SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and targeted goals. So a few of my actions to get me started might be, so on a personal basis, it could be to start surfing again this summer. So this is something that I did regularly before I had a big stroke in 2009. And I've since then stopped doing it because I became very nervous of doing it because of my health issues. And I feel that maybe this year is the year to get back on a board, even if it's a stand-up paddleboard. So starting surfing again this summer, and to have been surfing at least 3 times by the end of the summer is my target. And on a business level, working with at least 150 new customers to help them set up their unique holiday rental and get more guests so that they are more successful and they hopefully can improve their profit line. And then speaking from the stage of 3 premium live in-person events by the end of the year. So those are just a couple of the actions that I'm setting for myself to help me achieve my big vision. And I hope this has inspired you to go through steps 1, 2, and 3 so that it can make this your best year yet. And remember that things are changing all the time. Technology is developing, new techniques are emerging, and all of these are making this industry a very exciting place to be. Because it's giving us an opportunity to do something in our lives that really gives us back control, something we all need. Yeah? Yeah, of course we do. Otherwise, really, in my view, what's the point if we don't have the control of our destiny? The thing is, we can't do this all on our own. We need each other. We need the support and encouragement and the feedback and the inspiration of our peers. The life of a business owner, believe me, can be quite a lonely one at times. So it's essential you build the support network you need to get what you need done. So let's do this together. So that's why I'd like to gift you my ebook, where you can read some valuable insights from some very generous people who have already achieved this. And they have very kindly given their tips about what they wish they'd known before they started their own business. If you want to get your hands on that ebook, then I'm offering that to you, to listeners of the podcast, absolutely free. Go on over to inspiredcourses.com/wish. And as you can't do this on your own, I'd also love to invite you to join one of the largest communities in this industry who are all trying to achieve the same as you. You can find them over on Facebook by visiting inspiredcourses.com/Facebook. So go and check that out. And finally, if you're tired of working in this industry on your own and you want to meet up with some like-minded people who can give you some support, help you find the answers to your questions, why don't you come and join in with some lunch meetings that I'm arranging? We literally are traveling the UK to meet people over lunch to ask questions, talk about industry-specific issues, and influence the local agenda in the unique holiday industry. So I'd really love you to come and join me if you think that's something you would benefit from. So some people have found lifelong friends in this industry through networking in their local area. So there are so many benefits to putting a bit of time aside to join a group of people who know exactly what your challenges are, what your issues are, but also what the solutions to your problems are. So if you want to take part, then please sign up, come and join us. We'd love to see you there. And you can do that over on inspiredcourses.com/lunch. And yes, we'll be providing lunch, and I'm sure you'll have an opportunity too to have a look around some of the facilities of where the meeting will take place. And we're hoping very much that they will all take place in an actual glamping venue, so you can actually see what people are doing in your area and you can network with local people and really get the conversation going and start to make connections. So I hope this has been useful. I hope it has been useful in some way, and certainly maybe in getting you inspired to think about where you're going and how you're going to get there. And I wish you a very successful few years to come in whatever you're trying to achieve, whether that's developing a new business idea or growing an existing business. Whatever it is, I hope it all goes so well for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.